All right, everybody, thank you for joining me today. We're going to go ahead and get started with our introductions. First up, we have Mr. Laurie from Technical Place.
Hello, everybody. Christopher Laurie, technical Grace Computer Repair. Been doing computer repair now for maybe about 8 years. So, hello, everybody.
All right.
I'm sorry, I'm getting really bad feed. Me too.
All right.
Hello, my name is Jamae. I'm sorry, guys, I can not hear anyone at this point, but I saw my name flash. So I'm Jamae. I'm a chef and caterer. Mostly focusing right now on desserts. I'm trying to get my soul food catering business off the ground. And yeah, come to me for sweets and treats.
I hope you guys can hear me. My name is Leslie Lowry, and I am a blogger. The name of my blog is Without Ceasing Woman, and I blog about marriage, motherhood, and ministry, which I believe are like some of the most important things for women. Just do a lot of encouragement in those areas, and I'm married to that next to me on the screen.
Hello, everybody. My name is Deshaun Fields. I'm the owner of the Focus Media Group, where we do photography, film, video commercials. I've been in business about a year now.
Hello, everyone. My name is Soraya Christine. That's what I write under. I'm an author, published author. I am also a divorce recovery coach, and I also have a ministry called Lilac Witness Ministry, which stands for Ladies Influencing Life Altering Change. And so, with that, I just help to encourage and motivate women mostly, and help to encourage people toward healing.
Hi, everyone. My name is Lorraine Thunderberg. I am the owner and founder of Thunderberg Law, which is a boutique firm here in Atlanta. We focus on business contracts, entertainment, trademark and copyright, and a little bit of estate planning. So my motto is create the business, protect the brand, build the legacy. I also have a personal brand, Lawyer Mommy, where I provide legal services by way of digital products. It's just my way to be able to provide smaller business owners who can't necessarily afford legal services, the same resources and like DIY type products so that they can get the job done themselves.
Hello, my name is Jalecia, and I'm the owner of the Pull-Up Truck. I specialize in specialty egg rolls, and I do some catering also for small events and work office lunches and stuff like that.
All right. Thank you all for agreeing to join in with us today and help some people out, share your story. We're going to go ahead and just dive right in there into our first question. In the same order that we did our introductions, you guys can answer the questions. first question we have is how did you get started? Chris?
For me, getting started was just kind of a curiosity and a passion. So, middle school, maybe about the 8th grade, 7th grade, I got my first computer, which was like this old school iMac, had the color backs when those came out or whatever. So after getting involved in internet and all this other stuff, and I started getting bored with it. So now I'm like, yo, there's got to be more to this. So I used to learn how to take it apart before I start researching more on the internet about what parts mean. So kind of self-taught, self-learned. And then so from there, I get to high school and I started doing little stuff with people's computers just as like a side hustle. Did it in college. And after that, maybe about 8 years ago, 9 years ago, I was just ready to turn my hustle into an actual official business. So I got my business license and stuff like that because one of the things I had to just go ahead and accept was, no matter how self-taught, how good I was, I could break down anything, look into it. When you're ready to go to a certain level with your business, nobody's really going to look at you that way or accept you or respect it unless you got a couple of pieces of paper behind you, some certifications, the degree behind it. So especially for my field, it was needed. So that's what started opening up doors for me when it came to commercial businesses and contracts. But yeah, that's literally how I got started. It was due to curiosity that turned into a passion.
Okay, great. Leslie?
Did you say Leslie?
Yes, Leslie. How did you get started?
Okay. Sorry for a little delay. So I've always enjoyed writing since I was a child. And I think that for a while I didn't write, but then more recently, because I've only been blogging for a little under a year now. More recently, I kind of reignited, I guess, passion for writing, and so that's kind of how it just kicked off. I just started researching and looking into blogs, and I actually found a woman who is really popular as a mommy blogger, and she teaches other women how to blog. And I know that eventually I would like to become an author. So I thought that blogging would be a great way to kind of start moving towards that area, if that makes sense. So that's kind of how I started blogging.
Okay. Deshaun?
All right, so I kind of got started on accident. So my wife, she wanted to become a blogger and to teach coupon classes. So I was like, okay, bet. So I went and bought a camera just to film her, like a little small cheapy camera just to film her. And on my way home from buying the camera, I was just filming her in the car. I'm like, you know what? I think I like this. I'm just gonna look into it. And so I looked into it, and like literally, maybe a week later, I was like, I'm all in. And I did all the research. I took a few online classes to see to learn how to work the camera. I went and found a mentor like Leslie did to teach me what these buttons mean. Like it was a foreign language, and so to teach me what these buttons meant. And every single day, I got up and I practiced on the camera. I messed with the camera, and I slowly started upgrading cameras as to the professional level as I went on, and I've fallen in love with it ever since.
Okay. Jamae? Can you hear me? All right. I think she's having some technical difficulties. Soraya, can you hear me? How did you get started?
So I got started as an author. I got started in 2012 is when my first book was published, and it actually wasn't even supposed to be a book. What happened was I had started to journal. I was trying to find a way to heal myself. I had been through a lot of trauma that I hadn't learned how to heal from. And I was suffering from depression a lot, and was having a lot of anxiety attacks and things like that. So I was trying to find a way for myself to heal. So I started to journal. And as I was journaling, the floodgates opened of all the memories, from all the traumatic experiences all the way from childhood. And so I just started writing all of that stuff down. By the time I was done, it was basically a manuscript. And around that time, I had got into church. And one of the revelations that I got in going to church and getting saved was that it's not about you. Somebody else, you went through these things for a reason, and somebody else needs to hear your story. And so I was like, well, okay, how am I supposed to do this? I had no idea how to publish a book or anything like that. And lo and behold, probably like a week after that, this local girl kind of fell into my lap who happened to have a publishing company. And that's kind of how that was born. And from there, and I've always written since I was a little kid. I used to write poetry all the time. That was kind of my way of escape. But I had never really thought about being published. And so from there, it just kind of took off, and I started writing more books and doing some similar to Leslie blogging, but blogging on radio. So not necessarily a lot of internet blogging, but internet or radio blogging. And from there, the divorce recovery, one of the experiences that I've had is divorce, more than one, actually a few, and learned a lot of lessons through that. And just thought that those experiences would be able to help somebody else who was facing the challenges that divorce brings. And so I looked into getting certified as a life coach. And so I did that. I'm actually studying to further those certifications as well. So just right now, being able to help as many people as I can. And then, just with the ministry, just kind of was born from that, just wanting to be able to help people on a deeper level, and thought that why not, there was no sense in getting, licensed and ordained to be able to minister and not actually do it. So
Yeah. Okay. Thank you. Jermaine?
Well, the way that I got started, it actually started with me wasting a lot of money going to college for psychology. And it just wasn't something that it didn't make me happy. And I was aware that I needed to do something that made me happy. And what I thought of was food and my love for food, and how many times I used to get kicked out of the kitchen cooking with my grandma and my mom. So that's my happy place. And I left UNLV, went to the International Culinary Schools at the Art Institute, and fell in love with baking. I actually majored in culinary arts and fell in love with baking. And that's how it pretty much started. I just took a leap of faith and reached out to different family members and friends, and they trusted me with their treats. And it took a lot of failures, lots of tries, lots of learning, lots of YouTube videos, lots of talking to other bakers and treat makers. But I kind of finally found my footing, and here I am. A few years later, I took a few years off, actually went back to medical billing to have some kind of consistency for after having my daughter. But I took a leap of faith. Actually, a month before this pandemic hit and everything shut down, I actually was already looking to leave my job. I went to them with kind of an ultimatum, telling them that I knew that I could make more with my own treats and my catering, and they couldn't match it. And I left. And about a month later, they had to send everybody home anyway for Corona. So I actually took a leap of faith before the pandemic hit, I feel like my empath, I felt it. I just knew I needed to do it, and I am doing great, and it's the best decision I've made other than, become a mother. So
Julie?
Okay. How I got started. I grew up around cooking all my life. Um, I knew I always wanted to be an entrepreneur, but it's so many things I wanted to do, but I had to really pick one thing, to start with that I knew that I could actually really just do and actually succeed at. So, a few months ago, I was working a job and I was dealing with a death of a loved one, and I just really needed to get my mental straight, and I just needed some time off, and they were giving me a lot of excuses how they needed me there and how they couldn't give me time off, so on and so forth. So I started calling off. I called off for a whole month, and then my doctor finally gave me paperwork because I had just had my son. So it was like a postpartum, leave paper, because I was telling him, what I was going through. So I was thinking about it long and hard, what I wanted to do, because I didn't want to continue to work for a company that didn't appreciate their employees. And I just didn't want to be involved in that because I was really suffering. And they didn't want to accommodate me in any way. So the day before I was supposed to go back to work, I resigned, and I had got my food truck and everything before the pandemic happened, like Jamae. And I had took that chance to leave a consistent, steady paycheck to, pursue my dream to become an entrepreneur. Um, and that's how I got started.
Okay. Miss Ty.
Hello. You guys can hear me? Okay. Well, I actually started 20 years ago and I wasn't doing makeup. I was actually a licensed cosmetologist. Um, and I got pregnant with my first son, so I decided to stop in the field of cosmetology and go into medical office. I did that for about 15 years and was permanently laid off from my job and was put in a really bad situation as far as financially, and decided to go back into cosmetology, and not doing hair, not doing nails. So I decided to start playing around with makeup. I was never one that liked to wear makeup because it just looked funny to me. So the more I played with it, the more I perfected it. Did not really see myself doing makeup on other people. But I don't even know when I started doing makeup on others, but it's it's really relaxing for me. And I'm able to be creative. I used to love to draw, and today I can't draw more than a stick figure. But I really enjoy doing makeup. And there's been several women whose faces I've done who, I mean, their whole everything just lights up to where, I mean, they're in tears because they just never knew that they could look that beautiful, as if they weren't that beautiful before I applied the makeup to their face. But I just love the energy that I get from it and from other women. I'm in the process now. I'm almost done with school. I'm going to school for my bachelor's degree in business. So I've been writing out my business plan and didn't know how long of a process and how difficult that was.
Yeah.
It takes a lot of research, and there's days where I'm like, why did I even start this? It's a really long process. And so I take on a lot of tasks, and there's days where I have to step back and it's like, okay, I need a break because I still work Monday through Friday at 9 to 5, and I'm still in the medical field as a marketing liaison. So I'm sticking with that. I don't want to leave that field, even though I am going in the direction of opening up my own business. It gives me that opportunity to still talk to people, to go in front of people, because I don't like public speaking. This right here alone is me stepping out of my comfort zone. So yeah, that's how I got started with makeup. And I've actually taken a break from makeup now because I have so much going on. And then with COVID, and me still working in the medical field, I have to be really careful how many people I get in front of.
Yeah.
So, but, yeah.
Miss Lorraine.
Hi. Hello, everyone. Okay, so my story, I feel like it's long, but what I will tell you is that I didn't always want to be a lawyer. I actually always wanted to be a teacher, an elementary school teacher, in fact. And so when I went to college, I had taken all, the regular classes at first because I hadn't declared my major. And so when it came down to it, I'm like, oh, at that time, I think I knew a couple of people who were like in the early childhood major. And they were like coloring books and reading Dr. Seuss. And I was like, yeah, I mean, I'm sure there's a lot more to early childhood than that. But from the outside looking in, I was just like, I don't think I want to use my college education on that. So then I studied something that was just interesting to me, which was criminal justice. And so then the law thing, I guess, kind of stemmed from that. After I graduated from college, I worked for the public defender's office for a year. And then I worked for this death penalty mitigation firm for a year. And I started to see there was like no room for upward mobility without, getting more education. So at that time I was like, you know what, I'm going to go get my master's in education and try this whole teaching thing out again. But since I was working in the legal field for those many years before, I was like, let me just apply to law school too. That was something that people always was like, you'll be a good lawyer. And, I'm like, okay. So I applied to grad school and law school. I didn't get into any grad school I applied to, but then I got into almost every law school I applied to. So law school just won by default. I went there. I liked law school because it was like books and reading, and I'm into like papers and pens and supplies. So it was like an opportunity for me to play with all of my favorite things. And so graduated, passed the bar. I was never really convinced I wanted to be a lawyer. It was just like, hey, you went through law school, you take the bar. That's what you do, right? So I moved out to California because I took the California bar first. So I started my legal career out there. By that point, I think I was into like entertainment stuff. So I was working for, I worked for a couple of different law firms. I learned very early on, I guess I was like unemployable. So it was very easy for me to get a job, not very easy for me to keep a job, because I was always one of those people who, as soon as some bullshit was going on, I'm like, I'm out of here. Like, I'm not waiting to find another job or none of that. I'm like out there immediately. Like, I'll just figure it out, as I go. And so, I don't know. I guess that rubbed a lot of employers wrong, the wrong way for a long time. So I think I moved back to California. I moved back to Atlanta because the guy I was seeing at the time, we were in a long distance relationship. I ended up getting pregnant with my son. He was here in Atlanta. So I moved to Atlanta. I did the mom thing for a few years and then waited to sit for the Georgia bar. And then when I had my daughter, that's when I opened my law firm down here. So I would say in between, then I was working here and there, it was like I just had clients, where I was doing legal work. But it wasn't until after I had my daughter that I transitioned from being like a lawyer who had clients to like, someone who was running a law firm, in a business. And so it was very different, definitely a struggle for sure, because the lawyering part was what I was used to and what I liked. I actually never wanted to be an entrepreneur either. I very much liked the comfort and stability of getting a check, every 2 weeks or however that runs, as opposed to being like, oh, I only eat what I kill, so that's a whole different, it's a whole different ball game. And I remember when my schedule used to be empty and I'd be like, dang, let me just make up some shit to do. Like clients were definitely not pouring in the door. It took a while before, things started to kind of pop off. And now I look at my schedule, I'm like, I wish I could find some empty, some free time. But like I said, yeah, definitely a struggle because the lawyering part was easy. Everything else, marketing, managing, accounting, all of the different components of running a business. It was like at the beginning, I had to do all of those things. So I had to figure out all of those things. And, those weren't my specialty at all. So, yeah, I mean, that was how I started. But there you go.
Okay, thank you. So, what if any mistakes did you make when you started, Leslie? Can she hear?
I'm a big overthinker, and well, first of all, I thought, okay, it's blogging, it's not that difficult. Like I just write and just put it out there, and people will read it or what have you. But to kind of piggyback on what Lorraine was saying, there's like marketing. There's so much that goes with it, like your website. Like there was a lot that I wasn't already familiar with, and so like putting together a website and trying to kind of like market myself and social media graphics and all that type of stuff, like I've had to learn how to do all that stuff. So it wasn't just writing, and even just the writing piece itself is like more involved than just you just write and it's just boom up there. So it was a little bit of a learning curve at the beginning, and because I'm kind of like a perfectionist, it was hard for me to kind of like really get started and put things out there, because I'm like, well, first of all, I really don't like being the center of attention or like myself out there in that way. So that was difficult. Except if I am putting myself out there, I want to present like, my best face, and really just trying to get over my own overthinking and also doing too much research. It's good to do research on whatever it is that you're, whatever field you're in, but I kind of go to the extreme and I'm like, okay, well, I need to find out the best way to do this, the best way to do that, blah, blah, blah. And sometimes I get stuck in research mode instead of just doing. So I think that's one really big mistake. Instead of just getting out there and doing and learning as I go along, I wanted to like try to learn everything before. And that's just like not possible. That doesn't even make sense. And so looking back on that, I wish I would have just kind of put myself out there and just done things a lot quicker, or just, been more open to learning as I go instead of trying to wait and gather all this information before just starting it.
Yeah, it's kind of hard for people sometimes to just kind of take the leap. They gotta be well prepared, well versed. Sean?
All right, so I actually had two mistakes. My first mistake was probably the biggest. I used to compare myself to other videographers and photographers who's been in the game for like 20 years, and I was only in it for like a week or a month. And I do something, I film something, or I take some photos, and I look at their stuff on their website, and I look look at what I just done on my camera, and I'd be like, man, this is garbage. And so and it kind of discouraged me a little bit. And so my mentor in this thing said, you can't do that, man. You're just starting out. Learn what you can. You got to take it one day at a time. And so what I started doing is I just started, I'd use them as a motivator. Their pictures, their website. This is what I want to be. This is kind of how I want to shoot. And I didn't think of it as competition, or I got to do this, or I never get a deal, or I never get any clients. That was my first one. And my second one, if there's any other photographers out there listening, I know they can understand this. I became what's called a brand junkie. And so Sony, I was all about Sony. Sony this, Sony that, Sony this. And so I didn't open my mind to other cameras and other systems that are out there. I only looked at Sony because everybody talked about it. And so I didn't check out specs or any of the quality of anything that goes out there. So I was in a box. I put myself in a box. And once again, that same mentor, he told me, he was like, yo, you're becoming a brand junkie, and that's the most dangerous thing in this photography world. He said, you got to go out and you got to learn the different systems and see what fits you, not what fits everybody else. And from that day on, I started studying other cameras, and today I'm going to do the same because I listen to them.
Yeah, I mean, if I must say, I think your work is absolutely amazing. I know for me, I was talking to my husband about it. I was like, it just feels like he's been doing this for forever, and I know he just started, but I think your work is absolutely amazing. It's really, really amazing. Jalicia, what, if any, mistakes did you make when you started?
I don't know off the top of my head. But I know I have a issue with being hard on myself and not giving myself enough credit, and also wondering what other people think. I was talking to you yesterday, so I know you know some how this really got started. So I was really worried about that, and people saying, only reason why I did it was because of this and because of that and whatever. But I knew deep down inside for years, I knew I wanted to do something. Even though I didn't discuss it with other people, I knew deep down in my heart, what I wanted to do with myself. So that's what I was worried about, and I think that was a mistake to me, worrying about other
Yeah,
people and their opinions. So,
yeah. Chris?
yeah.
So, mistakes when I first got started. My biggest mistake was always saying yes to everything. So even if I had to figure it out on the fly, it was like that was one of the biggest mistakes because not knowing how to do something or still trying to figure it out and then using a customer almost as an opportunity to figure it out back in the day was like almost damaging because it can lead you into bigger problems. So for me, yeah, I just had to accept limitations. If I didn't know it at the time or I hadn't, had the opportunity to experience it, work on it, I just had to learn to say, no, not yet, or we don't do that. Just put it in a way that that's not where we're at yet. But one of the things that helped me come out of that, so I, had a better experience or started to teach myself in a sense, was depending on the device or as new devices came out, new laptops, new products, I would find broken pieces on eBay and,
Yeah,
buy them for pennies on the dollar. And once I get them, I start to repair them or learn to repair them. So now I'm not using somebody else on the fly. But yeah, that was like my biggest mistake because it could have been worse than some of the experiences was with it or were with it by just saying yes to everything. So even right now, sometimes I may run into an issue or a problem where, I've been in it for so long, I can make it happen. But still, I got to learn, sometimes if the project is too big and it's, as one man show or whatnot, if the project is too big, then yeah, I might have to fall back and just let them find somebody else who may have the manpower to make it happen.
Ty?
Mistakes. Gosh. I think from the moment I started and decided to start doing makeup on others was just learning and perfecting my craft as I went along. Um, I think my biggest mistake was how I did my prices. A lot of times I would, I guess, downplay myself. So I would always negotiate my prices to fit everybody else's budget. Um, and I did that. And I think even still today, I do that. And I wouldn't even much say that that's a mistake because makeup right now is not how I pay my bills. And because I do it for, it's what I enjoy doing. And that's just something, I mean, my mentor has always been my aunt, who's been a salon owner for over 30 years.
Mm-hmm.
And so one thing she always tells me, you know, you can't charge people based on what they can afford. Either they can afford your prices or they can't.
Yeah.
And I don't always believe that, because maybe I'm doing something and I'm being a blessing for somebody else. And so a lot of times, you know, I'll tell you, you know, pay me what you can afford. You know, it's not always, for me, it's not always about money when it comes to this and that. And again, I can afford to do that because I still work. You know, I still have a 9 to 5 that pays my bills.
Mm-hmm.
So I can be very lenient when it comes to my pricing. But mistakes, I mean, outside of that, I mean, I really can't pinpoint any particular thing.
Okay. Okay.
Um, time management. I mean, time management can be one. Like I said, I can overdo it. So I can overbook. That's been, well, yeah, that's been one mistake. Not keeping track of my calendar, which I'm better at. So that's pretty much it.
Anyone else? Any mistakes that you made, if any, in the beginning when you started? If not, I understand.
Well, I'd say I agree with Chris. I think taking on too many different things, for me, it wasn't so much of not having like knowledge and experience in the subject matter, but it's still like an entire different area of law. And I think once I had kind of like niched out to like, hey, trademark and business, it was a lot easier for me to tell people what it is that I do, and it was a lot easier for other people to be able to tell people what I do. So it's like, you know, your referral base builds out a lot bigger once people can easily explain, like, oh yeah, when they hear something like, oh yeah, well, I know a trademark attorney, you know, as opposed to like before it's like, oh yeah, you know, I represent indie artists and, you know, a whole gambit of things, you know. So specifying one thing in particular definitely helped to grow my practice. And the other mistake I would say I made early on was trying to do too much as far as like all the different areas of my business. And I know it's like, hey, we don't always have the money to pay somebody else to, you know, market for you or to, you know, be your bookkeeper or this, that, and the third. But it's like I spent so much time trying to learn what somebody else does when it's like that was money wasted because I couldn't use it spending time on my clients. So it's like, actually, you can't afford to pay somebody else to do this because you just lost out on all that money, you know, trying to learn how to do it yourself. So
Definitely understand that. Anyone else? We're going to move on to the next question. How do you maintain your business?
what is that question asking, really?
So on a day to day, what are some things that, or however, I don't know if it's a day to day situation. What are some things that you have in place that assures or that helps you to maintain the flow? Whether it's you work on it at a certain time of night, you work on your content X amount of hours a day. You know, how do you maintain the flow of your business?
All right. Is anybody go right now? So how I maintain my business. Everything that I can't do, because I'm not the end all be all. I can't do everything for my business. I'm just not skilled in that set. And so the biggest way I maintain it, everything I contract out. Whatever I can't do, I contract it out. Um, I'm not a business major. My wife is the business major. She knows these things. She handles a lot of the day to day, the dubsados, the scheduling. She puts all those things together for me. I have an ads manager that I just hired. I actually contracted like 3 other videographers with me. I believe in this right here. So I work in the medical field for my 9 to 5. When I get home, I have an allotted time that I work on focus media stuff. I do something every single day with my company to build it, to learn more, um, to push out more content. Um, but I do it daily. But anything that I can't do, I don't do it because it'll look like garbage, and you don't want your brand to be that. And so that's how I maintain my business.
Yeah. Yeah. Anyone else?
For me,
Um,
I write. I just keep writing. I um, just keep, making sure that the books are keep coming out, um, for the author piece, and then for the ministry piece, I just try my best to stay connected, every day with the ministry through, like the majority of it is like on Facebook, Facebook groups. So I just make sure that I'm, if not every day, every other day or something, I'm trying to make sure that I'm, engaging, and, at least trying to touch, the people that are involved with the ministry. And then with the divorce coaching, so I'm just really getting started with that. So, right now I'm in the process of, between that and the author piece, rebranding, and just trying to, figure out, kind of like Deshaun said, um, and contracting out the things that I can't do, because, to answer the previous question, even with this piece, is, one of my mistakes is feeling like I can do everything by myself, and I really can't. I just can't. I have to, trust other people to do the things that I'm not good at. There are things there, we have to know our limitations, right? And that's always been a problem of mine, because I feel like I can do everything. In actuality, I just can't. So I have, limitations, and I have to bring aboard people that are able to accomplish the things that I'm not able to accomplish. So that's kind of where I'm at right now with
Okay.
my business as a
All right.
whole.
Thank you guys, for sharing that bit. What is so when we get into brands, what is the importance of a brand? Do you need to have one? Is it important to focus on it? How what is your take on brands?
Um, a brand is what makes you you, man. Like it makes it makes you different than anybody else. It's important to know who you are and your creative eye. For me, my creative eye. And so, I don't want to look like the next person. I don't want to sound like the next person. I want to have my own art form. I want it to be like now when I do photography, I have people like even like Leslie. They call me even if I don't tag it or put my name on it. They're like, "Yo, I can tell this is your work. This is your brand. This is how you shoot. This is your art." So I love that people can tell my work even if my signature is not on it because I built a style and a brand. Nike doesn't look like Adidas, and Adidas doesn't look like the whoever is out there. And so you want people to know this is who I am. This is who my company. This is what my company is. This is what my company is about. And a lot of people don't do that. A lot of people mimic other companies. If you got
Right.
three Nike companies, man, two of them are irrelevant. And so yes, and so the best thing I can tell people to do is find their own art form, be authentic to who you are.
Absolutely. Anyone else?
Yes, I would say absolutely important, and I would say maybe not force it. You don't always have to know at the outset what exactly your brand is going to be. And I would say even for me, like Lawyer Mommy was something that like came over time. I mean, I was like Locks and Lashes, Esquire, Lorray, but it was after me being more present and visible and authentic on social media. And it was like, oh, she's a lawyer and she's a mom. And then it would be a thing where like people would even see me from social media out in public and be like, oh, aren't you that lawyer mommy? Hi. And I'm like, oh, lawyer mommy. And it was so, it kind of like developed over time in itself, and then that was just what it was. But definitely once it became a thing for me, it was like, oh no, I definitely have to be in control of this and show what that represents, what that looks like, and then protect it, of course, which is what I do with trademarks. So definitely once you have a brand that you are married to, I would say, because the trademark process can be expensive. So you definitely want to have a name or a logo or a slogan or whatever it is that you plan to stick with that is really representative of the brand that you plan to, grow and develop, and definitely gain, those exclusive ownership rights over it, because once it's out there, it's free for anybody else, pretty much to take. So definitely get that done sooner than later.
Absolutely, absolutely. So, within that same theme, what do you all feel is it important to have a following? Because I know a lot of people talk about you gotta build your following base. You gotta make sure you have people on your social media platforms. You gotta make sure you friend people and do this and do that. What is the importance of having a following? Or is it important to have a following?
Honestly, it's kind of two-folded with a following. A following will only be there during really the hype. So when you have a following, they're going to be there as long as you're hot. That's what's important. But really, what you want to do is build an audience. When you have an audience, they're looking for you. So they're looking for your product. They're looking like Deshaun. They're looking for his pictures. For me, with the technical grades, if somebody has something going on, they're looking for, oh, how do I get in contact with Chris? But following can be there during any situation just to be a part. And then once what you're doing starts to die down, that following will start to dwindle off also. So for a business, you can call it or you can call it your audience, whatever you may do it for your business. But the following, for me, I wouldn't call it important. It's that I want to build with those who are in a sense loyal to you, because the following is come and go. What they call following. People fall off from your lead. Some people jump on to your lead. That's what the whole purpose is of the following. But at the end of the day, to me, that part's not important. My part is building a connection, a relationship, or a bond between me and my customers, whether new, old, or indifferent, so that at the end of the day, if Chris can't provide a service, and that's really a beautiful thing for a perfect example. I could be booked out right now for the next week, and somebody wants some service done, but I'm like, yo, I really can't get to it this week. I can't be there until the 10th. Since they're not a following member or a following of Technical Grace, they're a loyal customer or client. They'll wait for me. A following, they'll just go drop on like, okay, well, since you're busy, I'll go find somebody else to do it. And that's totally respectable. So for me, following isn't really that important. It's about building the connection and the rapport and the relationship that you come out of being a follower of Technical Grace, to being loyal or just dedicated to the service and to the product that I can provide or the work I can provide.
Yeah, I think it also plays like you said, it plays a big part in the different types of businesses. Of course, with what Chris does is a little bit different versus someone that is building a brand in terms of and trying to be an influencer or selling a product. So yeah. Anyone else?
Yeah. For me, I'm kind of twofold about it, honestly. So people will look at you on Instagram, Facebook, and see that if you don't have a lot of followers, hey, you're not hot. So my Instagram, I have about 200 Instagram followers, but I'm booked. Like for a while, I was booked out for like months and months. It doesn't mean a following doesn't mean it's business. And so, but the more people you have following the more potential you have to build a business and to you build your brand more. So for me as a photographer, it's important for me to have an audience or a following because my product is pictures or video, and I need these people to see the pictures and the video. If not for me, I stay within the same circle of people. I don't never expand. And so that's why I've had to hire managers, ad managers to kind of build that for me and what I do to bring more clientele in.
Yeah. Yeah, it's really good.
Mhm.
Anyone else?
I think I agree with what Deshaun said. Like for as an author, I think that it's important to have a following because generally speaking in that world, your following translates to book sales depending upon the following, I guess. And so one of the things that I learned early on, which was also a mistake, in comparing, myself as a new author back then to, seasoned authors and looking at their following and how, they were like anxiously awaiting their next book to drop, and they're like, asking for it and hungry for this author's next book to drop, and it's like, wow, And so I think that as an author, but you have to start somewhere, right? Like the following didn't just appear. You have to start somewhere. So, you have to put out, a quality product and then the following will come. So the answer is kind of twofold, you definitely can build as you go because you're going to have to if you're starting out, especially. But you have to be able to maintain that level of quality so that you can keep the following that you have and then continue to build upon that, because to be honest, word of mouth will make or break you.
Absolutely. I know for me, I found that there's a level of anxiety in making sure you remain current and on top of and constantly creating content. Like there are times that, I can't sleep because I'm okay. What do I need to do next? Like how to create the next level of information or how to cause someone to interact with you on social media. So it's definitely it's a science in and of itself, and we don't even want to get into algorithms and all of that good stuff. So let's your social media presence, your conduct on social media. Oh,
Ooh.
yeah. So let's deal with that.
I go first.
Let's do
it. So I'm fairly reckless on my social media. And that's just because I'm very much a regular person, right? And so I have a business social media for my law firm, which is Funderburg Law. Probably not so much reckless over there. But then I have Lawyer Mommy Lorraine, which was, it started off as just my own personal account. So that was where, I just did me or whatever. And then the brand grew into something else. And it grew into a brand. And so then it was like, oh, well, now I have to be business-like over here, but I'm still me. And I feel like, because the reason I got on Instagram was not for business, it was very much because I'm like, hey, I like to watch memes and be with the shits and, look at people's videos and photos and all of that good stuff. And I didn't want to not do that anymore and to not have that anymore. And so, yes, I guess like most people, other lawyers, look at me like, oh, she's tripping, just because of how I am on there. But I've also noticed that it puts me in a different space with like the clients that I get, which works out perfectly for me because I work with people who I like and, who like to not have a stuffy ass attorney, So I'm like, very much what you see is what you get, and it works out for me. So that's how I am on social media.
We can't hear you.
I'll go. I don't know if you guys can hear me. I hope so. But for me, I think that my conduct and my presence on social media, because my blog is really about a woman's relationship and her pursuit of God. I want to keep like my presence on social media uniform across all of my profiles or platforms or what have you. I just want to kind of convey the same message on my business page as I do on my personal, because really I want to draw women to the faith. And so I want them to see me conducting myself in the same manner on each page. I want I want to be myself. I want to be authentic, of course. I want to be, because I'm a jovial person. I want to have fun, but I also want to stay within certain parameters just for myself, like, morally there's a I won't stay. And so I just want those that are part of my tribe or my audience to see me being consistent wherever I am.
So I think conduct and presence is almost everything. Especially if you're business wise, you're more word of mouth or referrals and stuff like that. You always want to be able to be in a position where they can trust your work and they can trust your integrity. So, like for me, I don't have to really market like that. I market our events, like if we're giving away something. But I've developed such a like an audience for it, or my conduct and my presence has been there in such a way that people automatically know, you need this done, you need that done. If it's technology based, I'm going to get tagged in that post by at least 10 to 12 people or more, not more. So that's a part of that presence that I started on. And then after you get that ball rolling, it's almost like the snowball effect. You just let it do what it's going to do on its own. But at the end of the day, your conduct plays a part in the presence. So if you've already got the ball rolling with the presence, your conduct itself is what stops it. So if you're in there, turned up and in a reckless way, people might look at you sideways and like, man, I don't know about them because they might come up in here smelling like weed, or they might come up in here talking they all crazy and stuff like that, not knowing who house you might be going into or who your client may be. So conduct and presence, especially on social media, it's big for me. Probably not the next entrepreneur or anything like that, but I know for me, yeah, it has to be a month. It has to be. It has to all line up for even just what who I am.
Yeah, I agree. I agree with what Chrissy said, especially if you're a social media company, you do a lot of your branding on social media, because if your conduct is bad, social media outlets, they suspend accounts. And so, if you get suspended, if you get banned, if you get your accounts terminated because you have bad conduct, there goes business. And so, a lot of people look at that. They think we can just post and say what we want, not realizing, like a lot of my advertising and a lot of my client building is through social media. And so, what happens if I say something and then I was younger and Facebook, I was the things that right. And I've been in Facebook jail before. And so now, if I see something or I can't say what I think on social media, I just have to go say it to my wife or say it to a friend and laugh about it in the privacy of our home. But I have to convey, like Leslie was saying, the same message across all platforms. Because a lot of the times, the people I get more audience participation on my regular Facebook than I do my business page. And so, for a lot of the people that they're on my business page, they send me friend requests to my personal page, and if I accept them, I'm going to convey that same message. This is who I am. I'm a videographer. I'm a family man. I want to have the same thing on all the platforms.
Can I jump in? Oh, I see. So I just wanted to amen what they just said as well. I remember seeing this young lady on Facebook, and she used to always talk about wanting to become a teacher. But every post of hers was either cussing, fighting, or pretty much, showing all her what she was working with as far as her body, and it was just like so it didn't match up. And every time I would see it, I would be like, but you keep talking about you want to be a teacher, like this don't line up, and so it was just it just proved to me that what people are going to judge you regardless of what we say or whether we want them to judge us or not. They're going to judge you, period. And one of the things that my brand manager just brought to my attention was, she was like, look, I need you to go and clean up your IG and also stop posting all your political opinions on Facebook, because I don't have no problem bashing 45. I don't have no problem, I'm sorry, I just don't. And my opinions about, all the race relations and things like that going on. And she's like, look, and not that any of that stuff is like, I'm not out here, I'm not out here cussing. I'm not out here, doing all this crazy stuff, but I do voice my political opinion sometimes. And so, but the same thing applies, it's the same. Your presence has to what's the word that I'm looking for? It has to amen your brand, and if it's contradicting each other, then you're subject to lose some of your following or your would-be following. So you have to maintain consistency across the board. I really like that Leslie said that, and I can attest to the fact that she definitely does that. But there are a lot of people that say that they're about one thing, but they show that they're about a whole nother thing. And if everything doesn't line up, you're not going to be as successful as you potentially could be if you were consistent with what you're showing in public.
Yeah. I agree. Anyone else? Consistency with your brand. So we kind of already answered the next question, and that is, what is the importance of being authentic with your brand and your business? And I think a couple of you guys already touched on that. But what I'm finding and what I'm observing on social media is that it's very easy for people to, for lack of better words, copy the next person's either business idea or business strategy. Almost to the point to where I had a friend of mine say, listen, I'm not going to share anything until I'm ready to launch it, and that's it. People they're almost they are very secretive about what they're going to do, so much to where they don't even want to share it with close friends because they don't want to risk the possibility or in the event someone does copy their ideas. So or is it something that you can even avoid? Is someone copying something that you're doing? Because isn't that what some of us do anyway? We see something that someone else has done, and it's almost like you use it as an inspiration to do what you're going to do in your own way and put your own spin on it. But I kind of gave y'all a whole lot right there. But the question is, what is the importance of being authentic with your brand and in your business?
I think authenticity in business and brand is the culture of yourself. It's your identity. So you can't stop anybody from copying or getting inspiration and this, that, and that, because we have to be 100. All of us on this chat, we all had inspiration from something. It's from something else. So with technical grace, I had to know how far I could really take this thing. I had to go research other people who've done it. I had to research the people who are bigger than me. So I had to go research the Geek Squad, stuff like that. I had to research the people starting out behind me. So to put myself in the middle. So at the end of the day, I have to also understand their structures and their structure to how they ran business. Because at the same time, I'm jumping into the same water as them. So what's keeping them afloat? What's causing them to stay to stay relevant. And that's
Right.
what at the end of the day, where the authenticity comes from. I once heard a pastor who wrote a book about church planting. I watched his YouTube on his book and then bought his book. He said everybody's so worried about somebody else stealing their structure. Who cares if somebody steals the structure, but they can't steal you in the structure
Right.
at the end of the day. So if for technical grace, if the structure of the company, we can do everything that the Geek Squad can do, right? So that's where the structure of it came from. Okay, this is what they do. I need to do it too. This is what they do. I can do it too. This is what their customer service level is. I can do it too. This is what their attire looks like. I can do it too. Structure. Now,
Yeah.
the authenticity from it is I'm Chris. I'm not Geek Squad. So what about Chris goes into this, pours into this structure? What about this? What about me makes this different than them? So if I don't, so at the end of the day, we may look similar in how we do business structure, but at the end of the day, you can tell us apart,
Mhm.
and that's what really matters with the authenticity of your brand and your business is applying your own. So I got to run away, baby. Applying your own culture to it. If you don't apply your own culture to it, then you might as well go apply for a job at that company.
Yeah.
And so, yeah, that's where my mind is with it. Hold on.
Yeah. I know, like for me, it's been a conversation, a consistent conversation for me amongst my friends that are in, that are in business is, that, like I said, that possibility of someone doing something that you've already done. But what it has become for me is something that keeps me in a position of constantly trying to stay on top of what is current, what is trendy, what is creative. Okay, well now you constantly have to I guess for lack of better words, reinvent yourself, to stay relevant and not to be, and don't get caught up in the small stuff. You can get easily distracted by, oh my goodness, now, didn't I just, okay, let's move on, and you don't want to bring that type of negativity and that energy. And it's definitely something that, like I said, has been a consistent conversation amongst friends is your ability to maintain some type of authenticity and individuality in a world where there's tons of bread. Everybody's selling bread. How do you sell your bread? So, yeah. Anybody else?
I think you just got to be real with who you are and worry about that. Like you can't really focus on being worried about what other people are doing or who's copying you or who's not copying you
Right.
or any of that, because the reality is it's going to be multiple people doing multiple things. Lorraine is a business attorney, right? Is a business attorney, Lorraine. There are many other business attorneys. You know what I'm saying? There are many other people doing that. You know what I mean? It's many other people that know how to fix computers and stuff. You know what I mean? It's many people that blog. It's many people that blog about ministry and women. It's many people that write books. It's many, many people that have food trucks. You know what I'm saying? So you got to just do you and not worry about who's copying or what. I found myself looking at people like, dang, that was an idea that I had. Maybe they, had the same idea and did it first. And then I'm like, dang, now if I do it, it's going to look like I'm copying them. And that's not necessarily the case. We just had the same idea and one of us got to it first. It is what it is. It's multiple fast food restaurants out there along the street. You know what I mean? So everybody making burgers. You know what I mean? So it's just a matter of how you making your burger. And you're going to have your following. You got people that like McDonald's quarter pounders and you got people that like Wendy's. You know what I mean? So it just is what it is. So you just got to stay in your lane, do your thing, and not worry about who looking at you or who you looking at, and just be you and do it to the best of your ability and let them do the same thing and not worry about it.
Yes, to all of that.
Yeah.
I would say just to piggyback off of it, like the reality is that everything that anyone does for the most part has already been done. So it's like most people think that you're coming up with something new, you're probably not. And I think the idea is not to reinvent the wheel. You know, it's already been invented. So it's like you definitely want to learn and use other people's mistakes or, you know, where they got so that you can take it a little further. You know, that's just how creativity works. You know, we use what's come before us to make something, you know, better and greater. And I think there's a fine line between, not a fine line, there's a huge gap between inspiration and copying, you know what I mean? Like when you're actually taking somebody else's work, you know, and it is a scary thing with us going out and, you know, with social media and with like how everyone's digital marketing, because it's like, you know, once you put it out there, it's for anybody to take. And I mean, look, this is not a plug, but this is just so you know, as far as protecting yourself, you know, there's copyright that's going to protect like works that you're putting out there, whether it's photography, whether it's your blogs, you know what I mean, whether it's your books. So you need to protect those things so that if somebody did, you know, steal your work, then you have like registered protection in those things so you can go after them and get them, you know. And I would say, while it's not foolproof when you are having conversations with other people, because you will need to have conversations with people as you're building your business, trying to get, you know, you can't do everything yourself. So that's where, you know, contracts like non-disclosure agreements come in so that people are signing them knowing that, hey, we're entering this business relationship. I'm relaying this information to you because at this stage it's an idea and it's not protectable under any form of intellectual property when it's just an idea form. So that would be the next best thing for you, to have a non-disclosure, non-compete, you know, confidentiality agreement drawn up between whoever it is you're speaking to, sharing your ideas with.
So, what advice would you guys give an upcoming entrepreneur, business owner?
I would say just do it. Period. One, just do it. Start, and then when you start, keep doing it and stay consistent. Stay consistent. Consistency is key. Go ahead, Sean.
My advice would remember that you're also a consumer. Treat your customers how you want to be treated, and yeah, it's a two-way street. Just like you go into a fast food place or a restaurant, treat them with respect. You want to make sure that you're treating your customers the same way.
Right. Absolutely.
I would say honestly to keep God first, and if you don't know, pray. And I need to work on that. You know, oh, somebody's talking. Oh, oh, okay. I'm sorry. I just seen her pointing. I didn't know what happened.
I was
But
amening you.
oh, okay. I need to work on that myself. You know, when I don't know and I need a little guidance and I need a little help, go to God. So, because we will do what we want to do, and it may not be the right thing for us to do, and then we'll end up in something that we don't need to even be doing. So that's what I would give as far as my advice.
The advice I would give a man is just
My advice would be similar to what Soraya. Oh, sorry. Similar to what Soraya said. Consistency. Small steps every day can lead to like your bigger goal. Don't despise small beginnings, and definitely don't compare yourself to other people. Even the mentors that you have, like they've been doing whatever it is that you're doing for years, perhaps. So don't just think that, bam, you come out on the scene and you're supposed to have the success that they had. Like they've been working for years to get to where they are. Enjoy your journey as you are just starting, or whatever, whatever, wherever you are in your journey. Learn to enjoy it, so then you can later look back on it and be like, wow, look how far I've come. Don't become frustrated because you don't see the type of instant success that some people might have. Just stay true to who you are and consistent, and your whatever your business is will grow.
Yeah.
my advice would be to tell the new business owner, don't let fear stop you. Let it drive you. A lot of people don't want to do anything because of fear, and that's not the way to do it. If your next step doesn't scare you, then you're not thinking big enough. Your next step in business should always scare you. It should always be so big where it scares you. And if it's not, if it's easy, if the task is easy, you're not thinking big enough. So you got to think big and just go out and take it one step at a time to achieve that goal.
Absolutely. Anybody else? Can you guys hear me? Yeah. Yeah. Okay.
Oh, you muted me, so I thought I wasn't allowed to talk anymore.
I was trying to get that noise is coming from.
No,
So
it wasn't me.
the last question. Oh, I'm sorry. What were you saying?
I would like to give some advice to upcoming.
Okay.
I would say, we're always told to just keep trying until it works or until it gets done or until you reach your goal. But I think it's also equally important to know when to quit. We may not always be cut out for what it is that we think that we're cut out for. And we may even realize that some of the things that goals that we're working towards are not even really our own. They come from listening to so many other people. Yeah. And internalizing what other people's images of you are or what other people want for you to be. So to not have that fear when it comes to that type of thing, like not quitting just because one day is hard, you know what I mean, but planning to quit because you have an understanding that this is actually not it for me, and not being afraid of what that might look like to other people around you.
Yeah. So as we bring this to a close, I have just one or two more questions for you guys. How do you balance both entrepreneurship and family?
I personally, this is my biggest struggle because I am a helicopter mom to the T. I watch her every move. I watch her sleep. So she requires a lot of me. She's homeschooled as well before the pandemic. So we already kind of depend on each other. But my daughter, when I say sorry, I have only one kid. But it's my biggest struggle. The best way that I've learned how to balance, and I'm currently learning how to balance, is to, like I said in the comments, is to ask for help. You'd be surprised with who will actually help you balance these things. And don't be afraid to take a mental day because we all need to take a mental day. In entrepreneurial world, we absolutely all need to take a mental day to breathe and reconnect with our family and with ourselves. But yeah, I am currently struggling with that. The best thing I can say is ask for help, speak with family, reach out to friends, and just ask for help. That's the best thing I can say.
I think it's important to set boundaries. You got to set boundaries. I remember when I was doing real estate many years ago, I ended up leaving real estate, even though I loved it overall, because I didn't set boundaries. And people were calling my phone at 2, 3 o'clock in the morning, just crazy. Why are you even calling me at 2 o'clock in the morning about a house, for real? So, it was just ridiculous. But I didn't set the boundaries, and I think even as an entrepreneur, we always feel like we got to go, 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 go. Ain't nobody else going to do it. We got to grind, 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 and all of that is true, but to a certain extent, right? We have to set boundaries. We have to make time, for the things that are important to us, and family is one of those things. So yes, we want our businesses to grow and we want them to be successful, but we also want our family, life to be successful. And so you have to do that intentionally. And so in order to do that intentionally, you have to set boundaries. You have to become good at time management. You have to become good at prioritizing, and you have to set boundaries.
Absolutely.
I wrote down big bold letters on my notepad. Set boundaries. Thank you very much.
Good.
Do you guys see this whiteboard behind me? This is
Kind
how
of. Yeah.
there's a whiteboard behind me. This is how I balance. This is how we balance. We have a schedule set out for everything. And I give myself my own business. I have business hours, and it's like, okay, these are my business hours. After a photo shoot, if I'm not filming, these are my business hours, and I stick by that schedule. Everything that I do, including this meeting, I put everything on a schedule, and I give it an allotted time. And after that, I go to the next thing, which is spending time with my family. That's the most important thing that you have is family. And so business is going to be here. You're going to have those same clients tomorrow. It's really important to nourish your children, spend time with your spouse, or if you're with someone. It's really important to do those things because you'll build a brand, you'll build a business, and you lose your family if you're not spending time with them. So it's important to balance those things.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
Yeah.
Anyone else? Well, if not, we're gonna go around and everybody, let's let whoever's watching and those that will watch even after we're the live is over, how to reach you. How can someone reach you, Chris?
Facebook, Technical Grace, email address, technicalgracerepairs@gmail.com. And then for calls, things like that, 702-481-7669. Those are the three ways you can always reach out. Inbox us at Technical Grace on Facebook, like us, follow us. Or even if you're already friends with me, you can inbox me just direct with all your needs.
The pickup truck.
You can like my page on Facebook. It's called the Pull Up Truck, and I also have an Instagram page. It's called the Pull Up Truck as well. Or you can follow or friend me on Facebook at JALISEA and last name Ross, ROSS.
Miss Leslie.
You can find me on Facebook. My page is Without Ceasing Woman. You can also just go to my personal page, Leslie Lowry, and my email is admin@withoutceasingwoman at gmail.com. Yeah, probably said that wrong.
Yeah.
admin@withoutceasingwoman.com. Sorry.
Yeah.
That's it.
Miss Lorraine.
You can find me on Instagram at Lawyer Mommy Lorraine. That's LERAE. You can email me at hello@lawyermommylorraine.com. That's it.
Miss Soraya.
So I'm pretty much Soraya Christine anywhere. You can Google me. You can put in Soraya Christine, Souraya, Souraya Christine. You can find me on pretty much any social media that way. Also, you can find any one of my books on Amazon that way. You can just put Soraya Christine in the search bar on Amazon and all of my works will come up. Should be able to do the same thing on Barnes & Noble. So
I know that.
pretty easy to find.
Miss Ty.
My Facebook page, my Facebook business page, I believe if you search LV makeup artist Ty will pop up. Instagram, Giving You Face by Ty. If you just search Giving You Face, a lot of times I'll pop up on Facebook or Instagram. Or you can just inbox me. And if Messenger is not acting up, it'll alert me immediately. So I'm pretty quick on responding when people are contacting me.
Yeah. Miss Jamae?
For all of your desserts and treat needs, you can reach me on Facebook at May's Delectable Treats. Also, my catering page for some good old soul food or seafood is Mama May's Street Kitchen. That's also on Facebook. I also have an Instagram for May's Delectable Treats, and it's just at May's Delectable Treats.
Okay. Mr. Deshaun.
All right, I was pulling up all the ways you can reach me. So you can reach me on Facebook at Focus Media Group. On Instagram is Focus_Media Group. My website is focusmediagrp.com, and and you can find me on Google as well. I'm now on Google, so if you type in Focus Media Group Las Vegas, will pop up on Google as well.
Okay. Well, thank you guys for joining me and spending some of your very valuable time with me tonight, and those that have viewed the live. I appreciate you all, and I wish you nothing but success in all of your businesses and your endeavors. So have a good night, you guys. Thank you.
Thank you so much.
Good night.
Good night. Hey, man, I need this catfish.
Thank you, guys.
I don't know what you're doing.